Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy Sunday from anywhere you are joining us from. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, and all the lovers of the SDGs. We are happy to have you all today, and thank you for joining. Today, we are going to be diving into episode 5 of the UN Delegate Stories, and we are going to focus more or explore SDG Goal 6, 8, and 12. We'll be joined or we'll be coming up today with amazing speakers from different countries. We have Precise from Nairobi, Kenya. We have Olabode, and we have other amazing speakers that will be joining us along the line. Once more, you're welcome, and stay tuned till the end. Thank you. So now, before we start with our conversation proper, I'm going to give a general review of these episodes. The 2024 United Nations Civil Society Conference was held in Nairobi, and it brought together a lot of people from different countries, different CSOs, and most young people were also very actively involved. With less than 1/5 of targets on the SDG, the world is failing to dive on the SDG promise, to deliver on the SDG promise. The UN Civil Society Conference data summarize 2,158 CSO participants attended, representing 115 nationalities from 1,424 organizations, headquartered in 99 countries. Representation by organization type. We had organizations affiliated to the UNO. There was also a gender balance. There was also a lot of different groups of participants. We had the youth, we had persons with disabilities, we had other CSOs that focuses on different issues, and they are actually working in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We had different impact coalitions programs, and with different working groups that came together with different ideas for the Summit of the Future. List of the impact coalitions. We had accountability, standards and monitoring. We had anti-corruption. We had artificial intelligence. We had inclusive and global governance. We had arts, culture. We had faith-based solutions. We had meaningful youth engagement and intergenerational solidarity, peace building, and many more. And today we are going to be meeting amazing speakers from different countries. We are having one from Nairobi, Kenya, another one from Nigeria, and we are having another one from Sudan. So I'm going to start with Precise. Precise, please tell us about yourself, your name, your organization, and your favorite SDG.
Thank you very much. My name is Precise Yowai, and I'm currently a youth fellow with the African United Nations in the Kenyan and East Africa region. My favorite SDG is SDG number 6, which is water and clean sanitation and water. The reason as to why this is one of my favorite SDG is because this affects everyone, and everyone requires clean water, everyone requires sanitation. Yet it's the least focused on item, especially when it comes to the countries that I come from, which is Kenya. The reason why this is my SDG is because I believe water is life, and this is something that everyone should have access to because it is a basic necessity. So some of the gains that I got from the United Nations Civil Service Society conference that happened in Kenya was I learned about involving the youth in policy making and how to create positive change in a new environment. I also learned how to access different opportunities that are meant for youth, and how different opportunities affect different categories of people, and how to have intergenerational conversations without it breaking the society. So one of the reasons I have realized that these SDGs have really slowed down and they're not catching up with the goals of 2030 is because there's very little inclusion and only few people even know about these SDGs and their existence. So one of the ways that we can curb this is by creating awareness and ensuring that everyone knows the goal and the direction that they want to take as a society, a community, and an individual, because most of these things have to start from the grassroots, especially when it comes to SDG number 6, which is mostly sanitation and clean water. Yes. So also, I have realized that most of these talks are not impactful because they're not inclusive and they do not include everyone in the generation and every single minority that is there. So this has truly, truly affected how they are reached. And it's one of the reasons why during a talk, I had someone say that the global south has to be included in these talks because we can't be talking about the global when we are missing a whole region that should be dealing with this.
Thank you so much, Precise. We'll come back to you for more details. And now we are going to have the gentleman, Olabode. Please tell us your name, where you come from, what you do, your favorite SDG, and why it is your favorite SDG.
Thank you, Minette. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Hi, Rama. Hi, Precise. Indeed, I'm the gentleman among, amazing ladies within the development space. My name is Olabode Afewa, as rightly displayed on my screen. I work with a non-governmental organization niched around, providing simple and reliable data, other people. We are a parliamentary monitoring organization, and I'm a program assistant there. We influence policies, train lawmakers, and etc. I have a couple of SDGs that are my favorite, 4, 5, and of course 8 that we'll be talking about here. And I hope we'll be able to share insights and knowledge among ourselves. If that being said, I think that's all right, Minette.
Thank you so much. We'll get to know you more and what you do along the line. So now we are coming to the beautiful Rama. Hello, Rama. You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. My name is Rahma Ali. I am from Sudan. The Sudan representative at the African UN Youth Delegates Program. I'm a sustainability professional, mainly focusing on urban sustainability. I have a social enterprise that works in waste management, mainly focusing on integrating sustainable waste management practices into the community. My favorite SDG is 12, which is responsible production and consumption. I think it's a fairly neglected SDG. It's not very common. And I think it connects different components together. Like we have the economical aspect, we have the environmental, and we have the social. And it's very much key to ensure that we sustain current and future generations. This is why it's my favorite SDG. We can't hear you. You're muted. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining. I actually like the diversity today. So just take your breath and I'll come back to you. Now to you, Precise. You participated in the UN Civil Society Conference in Nairobi. What did you gain from the conference? And how do you think such a conference can be organized in order to make it inclusive?
One of the things that helped me and made me actually benefit from this conference is because it was actually held in Nairobi, so it was very easily accessible for me. I did not have to fly in, I did not have to book a visa. All I had to do is register and walk in and participate in this. One of the things I learned is creating awareness of such opportunities and of SDGs to begin with, because very few people understand that there are global goals that need to be reached, especially a basic global role like mine. So yeah, that is one of the things that I learned very much. I also learned how to encourage youth participation, because the youth is the future generation. So if we're going to meet our goals by 2030, we actually need the people who will be in their youth or in their young era to be participating actively in these SDGs. So having SDGs without having younger people to talk about them and to see the importance of having them is actually very dangerous for our future. Because you'll find that despite us trying to reach these things, we cannot reach them on time because there's the younger generation that is not even aware of these goals. So yes, that is one of the things. I also learned that these opportunities should be advertised more, because it was really tough getting access to these and knowing that.
Thank you so much, Precise.
Actually exist. So creating.
Thank you so much. I think your line was breaking, but we'll come back to you. Thank you so much. So Olabode, the only guy among the two strong women. Can you tell us, having participated in the UN Civil Society Conference, what did you gain from the conference? How did you like the organization? How do you think such a conference in the UN space should be organized in order to be inclusive and impactful to all?
Thank you, Minette. Great contribution there, Precise, and good to also know what you do, Rama Ali. However, I was a virtual participant and also a youth reporter for the conference. Making it was beyond my, personal, ability at the time. However, the fact that the 2024 United Nations Civil Society Conference happened, in our continent, it's really a plus to, the impact of, sustainable development goals moving forward. The fact that, we're here today having, a delegate story, building a kingdom, as Peter rightly, put in the previous episode, it's a benefit for me, if I'm to put it that way. You see, sustainable development goal has always been an ambiguous word for me, whenever I hear that sustainable development goal, but over the time where I start to put more, attention as to what it is, I noticed that, these are things that affect our daily lives, and is as little to the regional and local things, around us. So whenever we're trying to think about sustainable development goal, I think the approach of, okay, this is something that I think we lack in this community. This is something we lack in this, society, and the conference, having partaken in it and, hearing so many stories. This is what I do. This is what we do. It has, bring a better, fully fleshed understanding as to how, we can even start to, influence these things, on a regional basis. So for me, that's one of the, major benefits, I've been able to take away from, just being a participant, of the 2024 United States Conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you attended virtually, but you actually contributed a lot during the conference, especially considering the fact that you were one of the reporters. Thank you so much, Olabode. I'll come back to you. And now to you, Rama. You attended the conference. What did you gain? How was your experience? How do you think the UN can ameliorate, or what do you think they can do to make such a conference inclusive and impactful for all?
So just to build on what my two colleagues have said, just having such an event with this big of a scale happening in Africa is a big milestone of its own. For us youth and for people from specific regions, it might be difficult for us attending such events had it been anywhere else. just accessing visa or having to fly all the way to specific countries or specific regions, it might be difficult for us to attend and actually participate. So this in itself is a very inclusive step in my opinion, and I think it encouraged more youth to participate. One thing I've noticed during the event, there was a great percentage of youth participating and attending the event. And this was a huge step because like my colleague said, realizing the power of youth and how we are the ones who will lead in the future, it's very essential for us to be in such spaces. So yeah, I think overall, just that idea of itself, having it physically there is very much inclusive. And addition to that, I very much like the idea of the coalitions as well. I think clustering expertise and really getting people together from the same backgrounds and from the same experiences and expertise to really work on specific areas. This is, I think this is very helpful towards the Summit of the Future and contributing to the Zero Draft. Just bringing civil society organizations together to also contribute to the Zero Draft, to shape the future. This has been very huge. I was very honored to participate in such an event.
Thank you so much. I'm really motivated with the fact that most of you did not just maybe attended as participants, you actually attended as active participants, because following your stories, it shows that all of you were actively involved in the conference, and that is what we all are looking for, not just being listeners, but being talkers, not just being talkers, but being doers. And that's what we all are doing. Thank you so much. So now we are going to dive to the third question. I'm coming back to you, Precise. According to the SDGs report in 2024, 17% of the SDGs are on track, 18% on moderated progress, 30% on marginal progress, 18% on stagnation, 17% in regression. And it is quite pathetic, but why do you think this is so?
Let's just say, like, if it comes to SDG number 6, clean water and sanitation, a lot of people are lacking. A lot of people do not have access to clean water. A lot of people have poor sanitation around them. So this is something that people are mostly discussing, but they're not taking actions towards. So there's a little bit of laxity when it comes to taking action, when it comes to these SDGs. If there's already laxation when it comes to taking the action, can you imagine when it comes to actually achieving the action? It means there's lesser access to these achievements. I can say I want to go there, but getting there, if I don't have steps to head there, it becomes a problem. And honestly, it becomes really a huge issue because you find that a whole region in the globe does not even know that this is something that they should be attaining as a country or as a community. So how are you going to achieve a goal that you don't even have set within your country or within your government, or your government supporting it to move forward? You see? So technically, participation is an issue. These things becoming things that are talked about in political arenas is also an issue. Rarely will you hear a leader say, I want my people to have clean water and sanitation. No. Nobody promises that when they're asking for a position of power. So when are we going to reach that goal if it's not something that people are actively looking for? You see? So this is one of the issues that we actually need to talk about. Are we actually including this in our community, or is it just being considered that something that should be done by NGOs only? Because it looks like it's something that is being achieved by NGOs only, not countries, not governments, not civil societies. And I think it's an issue that we actually have to look from that angle. I think that's it for me now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Precise. The issue of sanitation is really a big problem, especially in Africa. Like, do you know there are some countries where people are not yet versed with using the modern toilets? People still I don't know how to put it. People still just use the streets or most of these running streams to ease themselves and things like that. And it's really pathetic. And those are some of the areas that are underreported. and they are also not really mainstream. And it is not just affecting the health of people, it is also really like pushing a lot of people backwards, because it makes people not to really be held like strong health wise and maybe be in a safe space. Sanitation is really a great problem in Africa. Thank you for highlighting that. I really appreciate. So I'm coming to you, Olabode. Following the statistics I read out, what do you think the SDG is in regression? Why do you think it is in stagnant? And why do you think only 17% is on track? Sorry.
Thank you, Minette. Good one there, precise. So for me back here, I was trying to, even connect more like a build up as to what Precise was sharing earlier. If you all have noticed, it's not that our system lacks these informations or this policies in place. It's more of you have policies, you have beautiful ideas, but the implementation and the willpowers is not there. Back here in Nigeria, there's a compulsory 1 year National Youth Service Corps. We call it National Youth Service Corps. That every graduates and both university and tertiary institutions have to go through. And there's a particular special package or special program within we call it SAHID. It's a skill acquisition, blah blah blah. And in the course of also serving in a particular place of permanent assignments, you are also at preview to hold either a personal community development service or a group community development service. And why this came to thought is the question you asked, Precise, and the contribution as to communities where they still do open defecations and all of that. So for me back here, young people are pretty exposed to some of these issues, and to the best of their ability and knowledge, they are trying to use different avenue, such as the NYSC scheme I just mentioned, where they do a personal community development service, within the area of because things can get really escalated, if you are trying to start from the top. But if you are trying to start from the bottom, from where you are, from where it particularly affects you, gradually, from the rural areas, let's cite an example where a National Youth Service Corps member starts, a program within the, community where he or she is serving, and, he or she makes sure that, that program is handed over to those people, before he or she finishes our 1 year, program, and there's a system that sort of, encourages it to sustain it, pass it on maybe to primary school student over there, and, the government or the community rulers, the chiefs make sure that there's a sort of, coalition with the, youth leaders, the market women, start something on a, regional basis. And, that is how, you can sustain, matters like this. But in the case where we don't even know they exist, in a case where we don't even, count them as even, that's for the leaders now, where they don't even count it as part of, their campaign promises or part of what they include in their manifestos. So how do you, intend to, step it down? So I think these are one of the reasons why, that percentage is this low. And it's good as we keep building this kingdom, we emphasize this, to, our various, institutes, communities, and, different walks of life we belong to.
Thank you so much, Olabode. Thank you so much. What really caught my attention from your presentation is that you said start something from a regional level. It is very important because local impact is actually what is going to push or influence global change. So sometimes we just keep blaming our leaders, blaming the people up there without necessarily taking into consideration that you have to do something in your own small way, in your own space, because once you start doing it in your own space, others will do same, and it's going to cause a global impact. And also the aspects of youth service in Nigeria. That's one of the things I really like in Nigeria. And I think they are practicing that in Ghana as well. Do they do that in Kenya? Precise. Do you guys do youth service after school?
Yes, we have National Youth Service.
What about you, Rama? Do you guys do the youth service?
No, it's only for the men, and it's just for specific areas, but not community.
Areas. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we don't practice that in Cameroon as well. So I think most of those things are very necessary. Thank you, guys. So I'm coming now to you, Rama. Following the statistics I shared, it's only 17% of the SDGs that is on track. The rest are on either stagnant, degradation, and the rest. Why do you think this is so?
I think particularly reflecting on SDG 12, I think holding different stakeholders accountable is making it difficult to actually achieve this the targets of this goal. Because for example, in this goal, the production part is mainly done by private sector, and we know that a lot of private sector material product producers, they're not really following environmental standards. Maybe they're not even following social standards, and they're not even responsible for the life cycle of their products. They don't care about what happens to the product after it reaches the consumers. So I think just holding those stakeholders accountable is making it very difficult to achieve the responsible production part. We always say that consumers should reduce, they should recycle, they should reuse, but at the same time, producers as well need to hold their part accountable. And I think just having different challenges faced by different countries, it's making it much more difficult to achieve those goals in the same manner. So we have crises. In the example of Sudan, we have wars. We have countries affected by pandemics and climate change. We have all of these challenges, and it's making it more difficult to achieve certain goals over the others, let alone the resources provided. For developing countries, it's much more difficult to actually achieve those targets. So just realizing where we are now, and looking at where we are now, I think this may be one of the factors that it's making it very difficult to achieve the SDGs. And I think also in some of our contexts, we have actual lack of tracking the data or collecting the data on the ground to figure out where are the gaps and how we can move forward. So I think this is also an impact of why we have difficulty in achieving the SDGs.
Thank you so much, Rama. Thank you. I really like the way you tackled your presentation, like focusing more on your SDG 12. It really shows that you have passion for that SDG. Thank you, guys. So now we are going to dive to the fourth question, and I'm addressing this to you, Precise. So tell us, what do you think can be done differently to bring back all the SDGs on track and at least achieve the SDG to about 70% by 2035 or 2030, sorry, 2030. I'm adding 2035 because in my country, Cameroon, we have a vision 2035 where we believe that by 2035, we are going to also achieve our own development strategy.
Yeah, I see. So for me, I think analyzing the data we currently have, why are we still being backward with our goals? That would be one of the reasons. Also, listening to the person wearing the shoe. When it comes to clean water, the person who knows that there's an issue with clean water is the person who has to use the clean water. So that is the first person that we should actually be getting to so that we can know how to improve the water and the levels of sanitation in the person at a personal level. Let's start from our community. How do we make sure that the tap water is clean? how do we make sure that we are actually not messing with the sources of water that we have? Because these are the two issues that actually affect having clean water. You can't be actually polluting your water and expecting that someone else will come and be like, oh, here's some clean water for you. You have to start from the community. Clean your own water, make sure that you're not actually polluting your rivers, ensuring that you actually keep up with the levels of sanitation that you expect to have in your society, you know, because you can't be cleaning while someone else is actually bringing you back, you see? Because like we've said, these are sustainable goals, and most people assume that sustainable goals are goals that are in the far future. But if you look right now, it's 2025. We're actually 5 years away from 2030. That's a very short time, especially considering that we have consumed more time since we set these goals for ourselves. So we can't assume that someone else will come and do these things, or these are things that are supposed to be in the future. These are things that are supposed to be in our now. These are things that we have to take action upon now, so that in the future it can be something that we don't even have an issue or a goal to deal with. You know, it's the 20th century, 21st century, I'm sorry, and we're still talking about clean water, having access to clean water, and billions of people don't actually have access to clean water. This should not be one of the sustainable goals that we have. It should be a goal that we are already building upon. Actually, it should be one of the goals that we're saying, we've finally reached somewhere where we can say we have achieved more than 70% of this. So yes, using the data we collect and making sure that we start from actually the scratch up is one of the ways that I personally think that we can reach our goals by 2030 and 2035 too, thanks to Cameroon. Yes, that's what I have to say for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Precise. I'm coming to you, Olabode. I don't longer want to talk too much because we are running against time. So Olabode, what do you think can be done differently to bring back the SDGs on track and at least achieve the goals right up to 70% by 2030?
Thank you, Minette. That's a very good question, and it's simple. It's just that you know, for Nigeria, I will use Nigeria as a case study. Our educational curriculum system does not match up with the current you know, realities out there. You know, it does not, you know, see to the current trends and needs. So if you know, countries around the world are, you know, considering you know, having XYZ, let me not niche it down to technology. And of course, you know, we're in a global village right now. You don't want to be left out. You know, why not also, you know, make sure that this are stepped down, you know, from even the primary school level, you know, some gadgets we use, you know, to amaze you that, you know, it's designed by high school students, you know, and back in Africa, our university graduates are still struggling, you know, on how to even stay up to date on Zoom. You know, some of us are still trying to, you know, navigate how to, you know, set up meetings. So if indeed, you know, we know that this is a challenge, then let's invest resources and intellect into it. So for me, I would advise, you know, not to elongate this, you know, let's take it back to, you know, our secondary school. Some of those things we don't need it. You know, just make sure that history, civic, and some of, you know, these major things are, you know, incorporated into the school curriculum. And let's say this students they're smart, they're genius. You know, you see kids with smartphones and you begin to wonder at this age, it's because of what they've been exposed to, you know, and, you know, if you intentionally get them, you know, involved in the manufacturing process, why not, if not? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, we have to work on our educational curriculum. I even wish that they could just make it uniform in such a way that anything we are studying in Cameroon should be studied in Kenya at the same time, in Nigeria, and why not worldwide? It should just be a uniform school system. Because, for example, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, and other countries are practicing the youth service. For Cameroon, we don't. Sudan, it is like gender bias. Only the men are doing it. Why so? If we don't work on unifying those things, on making those things, especially the conventional things, all those norms, all those things, I think everything, we have to just redo everything in order to achieve these goals. Thank you so much for throwing more light on that. I'm coming now to you, Rama. please tell us what we can do differently and at least achieve the goals up to maybe 70% by 2030.
Okay, so I said earlier that we have this gap in tracking the data and really figuring out the data gap in tracking the SDGs. So I think by focusing more on the local solutions and the local actors, and this was brought up in the discussion as well before earlier, just by focusing on efforts of local actors and because, for example, there are many organizations doing the work on the ground, but they're not documenting their efforts. They're not reflecting their efforts. They're not even providing data about the impact of their efforts. So just really focusing on the local efforts that are being done and really put that and translate that into reliable data. I think this will help us much more in achieving the SDGs, at least per country, at least in our national context, because we all have different contexts, we all have different resources, different challenges. So just by realizing our context and focus on enhancing our local solutions, I think this will definitely enhance or help and support in achieving the SDGs.
Thank you so much, Rama. I really think there's really an issue of data because sometimes you see people just come with amazing solutions, but they end up not realizing it because of lack of data. If your target is Africa and you don't even know the number of persons in Africa that maybe have access to the internet, how are you going to send your message to them? How are they going to get what you're trying to say? So having enough data about a particular area will help you develop a sustainable solution to their specific needs, because the climate issues in Cameroon is not the same as that in Sudan. Just Nigeria is our neighboring country, but I don't think we have the same climate issues. Our solutions can slightly be different from theirs because their population is more than ours and a lot of things. So thank you so much for mentioning data. The data aspect is really a problem. And I think the African Union and the Africa Free Trade Union, they're also working on something like that. So I wish maybe they'll first of all try to look for a regional solution before looking for a global solution. So now we are going to be taking the last question, and this is more a little bit personalized to all of you. Each question is going to reflect someone in your area. And so I'll start with you, Precise. Considering the fact that you are Catherine Murray, that's the Executive Director of UNICEF, what actions are you going to take to inspire hope and drive action for your favorite SDG?
Yes. So for me, the first thing I would do is an interorganizational talk. There are civil societies in the organization, there are non-governmental organizations, there's the government, and there are political parties in different organizations. Having interorganizational talks and actually ensuring that when people are creating their mandates, when people are asking for political positions, they actually get to have an SDG that they talk about and an SDG that they're actually passionate about, especially mine, SDG number 6. That is one way that I would actually use to build up. You know, it's easy when a politician is saying, I'm going to build a road for you, and ask them, I don't have a car. I walk by foot. How about you start with clean water? You know, how about sanitation? How about no more garbage in our area? You know, talking and negotiating for such a goal to be a goal that I'm not the only one who's trying to achieve would actually be one of my ways of trying to reach and attain the SDGs, because it's easier when you have people that are helping, when you have influence, when you're using the people of influence to actually get down to this. It's easier when you have such opportunities, because I remember we have actually a governor who had his SDG as clean water and sanitation, and his name was Mutua. And let me tell you, in his county in Kenya, you cannot litter. You litter, you actually get arrested and you pay a fine. And I think if I am in the position, if I'm Catherine, I think talking with someone like this, a governor who can actually put in regulations to make sure that these SDGs are actually being achieved, it's one of the ways that it would be very easy to get to them very fast, because The county, which is Machakos County, that he's actually leading, is actually the cleanest county in Kenya. And it has been the cleanest county for years, even after he got out of the position. You see, so sometimes change comes because someone pushed it and someone in leadership was like, I want this to be in my place. This is what I want in my environment. You can't litter there, and actually they plant trees very much. So this is, I think, something that should be adopted both by other counties and globally. And having such interorganizational talks, it makes you realize how far these other civil societies are with the same SDGs that you're trying to get further with. And it makes you actually get further with them. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Precise. I was really impressed by the fact that your governor is implementing a law on that, like, it's in line with the environmental law, which says polluter pay tax. So if you litter, you pay. I think if I was also maybe a funder, I'm going to fund only projects that are coming from coalitions. That's combination of different organizations from different countries working on the same issue. So I think if maybe funders focus more on that, it's going to go a long way to bring change. Thank you so much. So Labode, please tell us, if you were the executive director of the International Labour Organization, what are you going to do to ensure that your favorite SDG is achieved by 2030?
Thank you, Minette. I quickly did a brief research on this gentleman, and he studied business administration from University of Lome. So unfortunately, I'm not a business guru, However, from the angle of my reach, where I work within an organization where you can influence policy, knowing the steps, on how to go about this, and even how to enlighten people, which I've been doing, in my own little way. I could remember a time I had, flair for TikTok, and some of the offbeats, we do at the office, I posted there. And I think there was a time I was also considering, working people, on the step-by-step on, how bills become a law. Because this is how you tend to, empower, your fellow citizens. Some of them don't even know, you can influence, a policy. And if, as a matter of fact, that Nigeria is currently facing a very major economic challenge, speaking to the SDG, I'm requested or required to talk about here, economic goods and decent work on economic goods. We had our labor union recently, hit the street, go on protests, making sure, that, the minimum wage, is raised. And I think as at day before yesterday, the president signed, a certain amount, which is still, peanuts, but at least it's something. If I was to be Gilbert, I'll work from the angle of policy, and as much as I can, in my little way, is to make sure that, I provide these, informations in simple and reliable way, as to the vision and mission of the organization where I currently earn my 9 to 5, where I, work. So I think that's the spirit of the act now. That is the spirit of, the power, we have as collective, young people from different regions of the world. That being said, that is what I would do, influence through policy. And the way I'm going about that is to make sure that, I provide this, awareness from the information I also have. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. They should not only focus on influencing policies, they should make sure those policies, they bridge it with practice. Because sometimes we have very beautiful policies on papers, but nothing is being done on the ground. So now I'm coming to you, Rama. If you were the executive director of UN Habitat, she's also a Muslim though. I think she's from your country, right? What will you do to ensure your favorite SDG is achieved?
Okay, I don't think she's from my country, but first of all, that's a huge responsibility. But I think for me personally, so we know that cities are facing rapid urbanization, and the majority of the population are living in cities, and cities are the main producers and consumers. So UN Habitat is already doing so much work in that area, and they are the custodians of 9 out of the 15 indicators under this SDG 12. I think for me, again, I will go back to the point of localization. There's already some support for the local efforts taking place, but I really think that we need to focus on grassroots solutions and local efforts being done by local actors, and the national efforts in each of these countries, and how we can support the monitoring tools, how we can support the reporting tools, to really, again, go back to the data point, to really drive accurate data, so that we can really figure out our way forward. So I think for me, the support of local efforts and support of voluntary local reviews, this is something that I would mainly be focusing on.
Thank you so much. I really like the aspects of local efforts, localizing some of those solutions and ensuring that they are really bringing in solutions that are going to focus on evidence-based issues. I think it's a very important aspect when it comes to achieving these SDGs. So before I ask you all to give your parting shots, let's have a poem from one of our sustainable development experts. He's a poet, he's an SDG advocate, he's from Nairobi, Kenya, and his name is Peter. Peter, please, you have the mic.
Hi everyone. So honestly, today I felt like it has been a roller coaster in Kenya, honestly. It has been a lot. A lot has happened, a lot has been going on. And there is actually pain in our eyes. We are smiling in your faces, but minds, brains is actually in pain, in tears. And honestly, it's all about governance and the system. The UN by itself is a system where we have the stats provided here shows that the SDGs are lagging behind since the inception in 2015. Let's be honest with ourselves, the system is failing. If we need a working system, we need everyone to be on board. That's why we're waiting for Team 17 to happen, where everyone is going to work together for us to reach the 17 goals in a perfect manner, where don't want anyone be left behind, where governance and policy making won't be an issue, where funding won't be an issue, where poverty is not going to be an issue. So for today, I was contemplating on a poem I saw somewhere, not mine as per se, but it was an awesome poem that's from internet. It caught my eyes and it was in my mind. So I'm just going to read that because it actually got to me. So this is my one. Mama, I made it. I occupied parliament. Remember the demonstrations? But tell daddy, I'm sorry I won't come home tonight. Not because I'm spending tonight at a friend's place. No. Not because I'm among the injured. No. Not because I was abducted, as they have done to most of us. That would have been better. I'm in a cold, dark place called the morgue, Mama. I know Daddy will be angry. Why I wore his shoes? I had to. I know they are bigger, but I have to. Otherwise, no one could have. I know he will complain that I have read too many political novels. I did it for our country. They hail us for being fearless. Mama, they call it a historic moment. Actually, unprecedented. Did you watch the news? All over the country, thousands of us marched forward wearing mostly black, chanting slogans, singing songs, revolutionary ones. They call us Gen Z, mama. Some pigs say we have watched too much Netflix and we eat KFC. Sorry for spelling that wrong. It's MPs actually. Remember how you used to forcefully give us porridge by locking us between your legs, pitching our noses, and then pouring a ton of porridge in our forcibly opened mouth, leaving us with two choices, swallowing or choking to death. That's what they did to us yesterday, mama. But unlike in the past, today's child chooses the latter, death. We approached parliament as promised. We eventually occupied it. The wall gave in and we entered. I'm sorry, I did not taste the rice, as some did, mama. All I tasted were bullets. They sprayed me with bullets, mama. That's why I won't come home. My battle is over, but not the war. From Palestine to Congo, a lot is happening, and also in our country. And we need to change that. We need voices to be done. We need voices to shout their names, because it's all because of the system. For the 17 SDGs to come to life, we need all the systems to be working, and not just work for some, but work for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you. I really felt so emotional when you were reading the poem, because a lot is happening. A lot of crisis everywhere in Africa, worldwide. People are dying, things are happening. Death is inevitable, but if there's something you can do in your own little way to help someone live longer and achieve their purpose, please do it. Thank you so much. So before we have our passing shots, I will just like to thank you all for participating. So please, I'm going to start with you, Precise. Please tell us your party short. What do you have to say?
Hello. So here in Kenya, Peter can attest to this. I am an African Delegate, African United Nations Youth Fellow. And someone asked when we started a little bit of our riots here, someone asked what's happening in Kenya. And we replied by saying the youth are having meaningful engagement. I would like to tell you guys, please participate in all your constitutional rights. And if you're a Kenyan, please don't miss on enjoying the right to participate in meaningful youth engagement, because the future is ours. When they say they're doing things for the future generation, we are the future generation.
Thank you so much, Precise. I really appreciate. We all know the internet issue in Africa. So now I'll come to you, Labode. Give us your parting shot and just say hi to anyone that is watching you right now.
Thanks, Minette. First off, I want to appreciate Peter. Thanks for that poem. It was pretty emotional. And yeah, anyone watching me right now, I just want to say aloha. Yeah. And it's means something differently, on the internet, but a friend once explained it to me in another light, which means together in the presence of the breath of life. And if indeed we are together in the presence of the breath of life, God, let's be kind to one another. Let's be genuinely kind to one another. That would be my parting shot.
Thank you so much, Niger. And now to you, Rama. Please give a shout out to anyone watching you and your parting shot.
Okay, thank you for having me today, and thank you, Peter, for this amazing poem. I just want to say to everyone that if you make any simple contribution in your local context, this matters and this is important and you matter. And always seek collaboration, always seek to work with other people, because this is, I think, the only way that we can achieve the SDGs is by actually working together and collaborating together. So continue the amazing efforts and always talk to people around you. You're muted, Minute.
Sorry, thank you all so much for participating. It was amazing having you all today. It was a great session. I learned a lot from all of you. I love the diversity. Thank you, Rama, for coming in with your energy for goal 12. Thank you for coming with your energy for goal 6, Olabode, and goal 8. Precise, I think Precise is having network issues. And Peter, thank you for always pricing things up. We really appreciate. For moderation, I have been Mpongwe Minutes. I'm a Cameroonian. I work with an international organization and I'm based in Senegal. Thank you all for coming and see you next time.